transforming lives. Your transformation starts here.
All right, guys, welcome to Transforming Lives podcast. I'm your host, Tony Kimble. This particular series, we're looking at 50 educators from 50 states. Well, we'll talk to people from Texas. My first guest was Dr. Daryl Henson. My second guest was Crystal Watkins from Cincinnati, Ohio. But guys, this day, I'm stepping into my home state of Mississippi. We call it the SIP. My next guest is an administrator in Madison County, right? He is the principal of Shirley D. Simmons Middle School. He is doing phenomenal things at this particular school. One in particular, he's taken a C-rated school, according to the Mississippi Department of Education, and led them with the team to an A district. This is a historical moment for them because this has never happened in the history of their school. So this is going to be an awesome conversation. Stick around. Let's go.
All right, guys, we apologize for the sound delay right there, guys. Definitely, we were having an amazing conversation. We don't know at what point you were able to hear us, but we're going to pick it up and just kind of roll with it, guys. Thank you for your patience. We were discussing about, your 3P approach. Could we kind of rehash that real quick?
So every day, like I said, the most important person that you speak to each day is yourself, right? And so we do a daily affirmation at the school where we talk during the morning announcements, and we end every morning announcement with, I am here, I am prepared, I am respectful, I am a falcon. And those are the three things that we want to affirm inside of ourselves, even with our teachers. And so the first part is being prepared, being present. Right. You can't do anything unless you're there. And no one can replace our teachers or our students being in the building. Right? And so the biggest cliche, one of the cliches in sports that you hear is the best ability is availability. And so you want students and teachers to be there each day. But aside from that, you also want them to be prepared, because if you're not prepared, if you're not there and having things in order, that also causes anxiety, it causes nervousness, it causes anxiousness. So that's why I get there 30 minutes before time to make sure I have my ducks in a row. We want our students to have their computers charged, work done. Same thing for the teachers, have your papers copied, get all those things done before be prepared. And then the last one is being professional, and we transition that into being respectful. One of the biggest things you're going to deal with in a middle school from a student standpoint is respect. That causes your discipline issues. That causes your biggest complaints is just respect. Right. Yeah. And so we tell them, each day, you don't have to like a person, but you have to be respectful. Yeah. And we tell our teachers, be respectful and be intentional about your dealings with students. Yeah. The things that you say, the things that you do, and how we go about those things. And so that's the 3P approach, and we found success with it since I've been.
Absolutely, yeah. And having that structure to give not only the students, but the staff that direction, man, is amazing. And one of the things when we talk about these components, we talk about for staff, talk about students, parents. Yeah. Could you share with us, how have you, fostered those meaningful relationships, partnership with the parents in the community?
Man, listen, we take a transparent approach. And I think that the biggest thing that parents want is transparency. Right. And they want to know that the things that are going on in the school have their students' best interests at heart, right? And they're taken care of, right? Yeah. It doesn't matter what a student looks like. It doesn't matter their socioeconomic status. It doesn't matter their discipline record. One thing I heard at the conference that resonated with me is that regardless of what you think about a student, the parent is sending you the best thing that they have. They're sending you the best thing that they have. And so when a student enters the building, we have to look at this. It doesn't matter how they treat or what goes on. We have to treat them as precious because, again, the parents sending us the best thing that they have at their house. And so when things go on, the transparency part of it is, it doesn't matter if it was a great thing that happened or something challenging that happened. Right. I want my door to be open so that parents can talk about it. I want the door to be open so parents can have a person who's in leadership respond to them in a timely manner. Because a lot of times your bigger issues happen simply because parents aren't getting information. And then with lack of information, people tend to make up things.
Well,
And so you end up on Facebook not because of the things being true or false, but because they made their own narrative because they hadn't even been able to talk to them.
Right.
So I make sure that I'm available when parents call. If they don't get me immediately, I call them back.
Yeah.
If they want to come sit down, good or bad, I've had really tough conversations over the last 3 years, but they've all turned out meaningful because parents understand my standpoint. They may not have their way with it. I'll let them have their say, and so that's the approach that we take, a real transparent approach to make sure students and parents are taken care of.
Right. No, that's amazing. So you got me stuck here about, the parents are saying, I mean, it's an obvious thing, but the phrase that you said has really struck a nerve in my brain to say, it's not even checking if it's factual. That's factual. Yeah. That's something to make you think like, whoa.
Yeah, it's what you have to understand is that who a person is right now is not who they're going to be.
Right. Yeah.
And so I've seen some of the more challenging students that I had when I was in Columbus turn out to be, amazing contributors to society, their jobs and families. And, so you have to look at things from a future perspective in the middle school level because, they have their challenges in middle school. They are middle schoolers. They're growing up. They're hitting that pubescent stage where they're learning their emotions and they're learning the transition. And so when they're doing that, you have to have people, and it's difficult on us sometimes. Some days you just don't feel like it. Some days it's challenging. But you have to understand that we still have to treat them each day with the same consistency and respect because who they're going to be in 4 years is not who they're.
Oh, this happened. I was coaching track. I had some documents, and then you find these workout books, and there was a phrase in there about treating a 9th grader like they're going to be a 12th grader.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And it was like that 9th grader or even a middle schooler, like it's just a different world. Like, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's another world that's out there that they go to and come back. And of course, we've been there. Yeah. But to hear you say that it's for us, how do we lead them? How do we have a forward mindset to say, you know what, eventually they're going to be someone. So how can we help them transition into that?
That's a good question. I think the best way to do it is understand your own story, understand your own journey, right? Because who we are now is not who we were in the 80s. I have conversations with my friends all the time, and the people that we are today were shaped by teachers in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Absolutely.
And so you have to realize that when students make mistakes, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
The things that they've done, we tried on 100 times over. So I think that's how you make sure that students are treated with that same balance and same respect. And I think that my motto or my position that I take a lot of times is that I want to be the principal that I wanted when I was in school. And so I try to treat the students that way. They know that they're going to get disciplined. They also know they're going to be loved. They also know they're going to be respected. I want to support them in the things that they're doing outside the classroom. But that's how you treat them, as a forward-thinking person because, again, the jobs and the careers and the people that we are today were shaped by the community that was around us. And so we're now the community, right? And so that's why we have to look at it that way because that's what we're shaping. We're shaping the next generation.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And that leads me into my next question, where we're talking about community, mentorship, being a youth advocate. I can just tell it in your conversation. That's passion of yours.
Sure.
How have you integrated those values?
Man, it's one of those things where one, you have to have good people, and I think the biggest thing is that we have good people on staff. We have good people in the position of educating our students. Yeah. And they have a passion for the kids. They treat the kids well, and they make sure that the kids have what they need. They're buying things out of their pocket. They're making sure that kids have the resources. Madison County makes sure that we have, computers for all of our students. That we don't lack for anything. We have great reps on our school board with Dr. Paul Griffin and Mr. Paul Griffin, who's the rep for that area. We have great people who are advocating each day for our students. And so we use the resources that we have available. And then we also go out and seek other sponsors and other donors and other resources. One of our biggest facets that we try to implement is exposure. Because the biggest thing for our students, the biggest thing in life is that you are what you're exposed to. You see what I'm saying? And so what you see, the difference in students when they hit the collegiate level and, after school, is that many times they talk and they speak and they interact based on the exposure that they have. So we want to get our students out of the state of Mississippi. We want to get them to different museums and different cultural pieces. We want to expose them to different activities that don't fit the norm of what they would see in their community. Because again, you just want to be a well-rounded person at the end of the day. You want to be a well-rounded student. And then you make the choice from there. Do you want to go to the military? Do you want to go to college? Do you want to go right into the workforce? Whichever way you want to go, we want to make sure that they're prepared to do.
Right. So that's good to hear, because when you talk about community, you have to have people that support the community.
Absolutely.
Right? You can't be just the leader of the community. You have to have.
Absolutely.
So that's great to hear. You mentioned this whole idea of you started out coaching, but prior to coaching, you played basketball.
Yeah, did a little basketball.
All right. Now you did a lot of basketball. So I want to think
basketball. I was okay. Sounds bad.
So I want to say congratulations on your induction into the Millsap Athletic Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
How was your experience as an athlete, and how did it influence your approach to leadership and transformation?
Oh man, that's a great question. The approach as an athlete, discipline, dedication, perseverance.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no Michael Jordan, but I mean, I didn't play. I was on the team. Let's say it's from 7th through 10th grade. I didn't play till my 11th grade year. I didn't get on the court till my 11th grade year. So, I mean, I was, I wasn't the most athletic, but what I did was I learned to get. I spent a lot of time in the gym working on my craft. And now that I think about it, I didn't think about it as working on my craft. I just wanted to go to the gym. So my dad and my mom would drop us off at the YMCA in Columbus at 7 o'clock in the morning. And we wouldn't leave till 7 that evening. And so most of that time was spent playing basketball. Most of that time was spent. And so once so what happened, what ended up happening is it's all about timing. Life is about time.
Right.
God's timing.
Yeah.
A lot of the older players graduated my junior year when I was coming into my junior year. So I got an opportunity to showcase my skills and my abilities. And being 6'4" big man, I had to be more crafty than some other people. So I developed a shot. I developed some post moves. And so how did that transition into what I do now is coaching and leading the team all determines, and it all depends on perseverance. It all depends on your daily dedication and your mindset and being able to just continue to work when it doesn't look like it's going to make its way into what you want it to be. And that's what I did from 8th through 12th grade. I didn't give up. I didn't quit because I wasn't playing. I didn't not work hard because I wasn't getting the playing time. I just kept persevering, and it worked out. Worked itself through.
A little bit more work.
Yeah. I played through Millsaps. I played while I was at Millsaps. Freshman All-American, sophomore preseason All-American, junior year I tore my ACL, and then senior year came back. It worked itself. It worked its way through. I tell my kids while I'm at Shirley Simmons, and anybody I play against that if you put your mind to it, it's something you want to do. If you persevere through it, it's going to work itself through. But I also tell them they can't beat that. There's no way. They're not going to beat me at basketball. One thing I'm not going to let a child do is what I've been doing for 30 plus years. But no, it's worked itself out. It's like riding a bike. I just need a couple warm up shots, and it'll take its place.
Absolutely. So we're almost to the point where we're going to end. But I said a couple of comments on it. Yeah. If we can kind of lay out some of those comments and see what's happening. I saw Elizabeth Webb. She said this was so good. So let's check this out. How you doing, Elizabeth? Welcome to this. I guess
that's Dr. Webb. Dr. Webb.
Dr. Webb.
Yeah. Dr. Webb. Amazing educator and amazing friend. Dr. Wells is actually in our accountability and assessment department. Amazing with numbers. She's responsible for the data for pretty much our district. So, amazing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
When it comes to numbers, you're not gonna find one better.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Dr. Wells. Okay. Awesome. So let's check out some of the other comments that we have on here. We have Dr. Watkins on there as well. See what they said right here as well. Okay, you got it. It's working now, Dr. Watkins. Yeah, it's working. We got the sound going.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Do we have any other comments on here as well?
Yeah. Now this is my guy. This is my guy. This is the guy. Now, when you talk about basketball, a legit basketball player. Yeah. He's but an entrepreneur. He actually has a brand, Hello Black Man, that talks about we were talking about the mental health space earlier,
Yeah.
and so he has a brand that promotes mental health for a variety of different populations, whether it's athletes, whether it's educators, whether it's professionals. And so the Hello Black Man brand, something I promote, something I use is a journal that you write in that just really talks about the mental health of different, like I said, different populations. Ask questions so you can actually write down your thoughts. Clear your head at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day. And so just phenomenal brand, but a phenomenal guy. So he always supports.
Okay. Absolutely. Send that. Put your link in the chat, and I'll make sure that it goes up on the show so we can put it on that. I mean, I'm sure that he's pushing and stuff.
Yeah.
But I love to just kind of put this stuff out there as well. So, give me one or two more questions, guys. We're gonna close this thing out. So, as someone who is driven by personal and institutional success, what has been the most valuable lesson you've learned?
So I heard this from Dr. Darius Dan, right? Okay. It's not about the dream, it's about the team. Right. So when you're talking about transformation of any sort, it's not something you can do in isolation. It's not something you can do by yourself. So one thing that I'm being blessed by since I was born, I mean, I've got amazing parents, but I've been blessed by an amazing group of people who've been around me from the time I started in education to this moment. I've got amazing people, and I've got them in the right place on the bus. So I've had, transformation doesn't happen again in isolation. You have to have people around you who are committed to seeing what it is that you're trying to do and trying to hit a goal. So when I arrived at Shirley Simmons a couple of years ago, we were a C school, but the previous administrator had worked hard to get it to that. It was a very high C. Yeah. And so the next year we were able to increase 20 points and make it and get to a B. And then the year after, I think it was 50 points, around 50 points to get to an A rating. And so that all came from the team that was put in place. That all came from everybody working towards a common goal. And it doesn't come without distractions. It doesn't come without difficult times. So I don't want to overlook those. But when you understand what you're all working towards, even in the difficult times, you find a way to, like I said, persevere. You find a way to keep on pushing. And our kids are so amazing. Yeah. They work so hard for the school. They work hard for themselves. They work hard for the community. And so big shout out to them because they're an amazing group. Amazing.
Right. So going back to a clip I saw, I think it may have been a news clip. I can't remember what it was, where I saw that. But, one thing when you have a group of students that are excited, but there's another thing when the kids believe in you or believe in the team. Yeah. And I saw that because you can see it, right? You can see the body language. And I remember you announcing that Shirley Simmons, you did it in French. Now I'm gonna go ahead and be your prop. You did it in a French way. And you dropped the mic on it and announcing that the school is a
Well, so this is what we talk, when you talk about vision, everybody has to buy into it. So when those sixth graders who are now eighth graders, those were the students that were there my first year. So we had an assembly my first year, and I said, man, this is where we are, and this is where we want to be. And they were excited about it. They said, before you all leave, we want to be an A school, and they bought into it. And so they worked very, very hard, sixth and seventh grade year. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know that we could do it that quickly. I really was planning in my mind. I had a 3-year plan for them because I wanted incremental growth. But God had a different plan on that. And so, but when we announced it, because we had been talking about it, and we don't just talk about it one time. We have been talking about it over the last 2 years consistently. This is where we are. And they were excited to get the B. I said, we're gonna get to an A. Oh man, we're gonna. And it was on the tip. We were kind of teetering when we got the data, and we didn't really know what it was going to look like. And so I wanted to take that moment to really celebrate with them. We've done a lot of great things. We had a big parade, not parade, but we had a big day for them, a celebration where we went out and jumpers, music. And so they've had a ton of fun, but I told them that's now the ground level. Now it's the ground. So now we're just going, we want to continue to go higher because they can do it.
Right. Now, this is historic.
Yeah.
This is the first time ever.
Yeah.
And to hear you taking, and I'm going to say it makes sense, but it's this whole idea of sports, right? You find that group of kids and that group of kids that come through that you may have on your team, and you're pushing them, they buy in, you have a vision, you talk about it, and you push them on through. So it's still connecting them to the sports platform. So,
and they're a good group of kids. I want to just, recognize them because a lot of the things that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, other administrators would love to have those kind of problems. And so the things that we deal with as far as discipline and things of that nature are small and minute in comparison to maybe some of the other things other administrators around the state have to deal with, because we have a great group of kids. We have a great group of educators. And I tell them all the time, I'm thankful for them, but I'm constantly pushing because we don't want to get comfortable in where we are. We want to continue because, again, we have a long way to go to where we really, really want to be, which is one of the top rated middle schools in the state of Mississippi.
Right. I believe it. And as you were talking, I remember hearing this quote up in grad school. It was, culture eats structure for lunch.
Yeah.
And it's like when I'm listening to you, I'm hearing culture, like this school culture climate that you're talking about. Like that is huge, because if your culture is not right.
Yeah. You want, and again, you want to eliminate excuses, because one thing that people want to do in a different culture is have a reason not to, right?
Yeah.
When you work each day, you come in and you deal with, different personalities. It's easy to say all the things that are going wrong and all things, but we want to eliminate those things. And so when you get to a point where all you have to do is come to school and work towards the goal, then it becomes, that's the culture we want to have.
Absolutely. So usually what I do at the end, we do in football, we call it a 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
I ain't got my horn today, but
okay.
All right. So, you got the last couple of minutes right here, just sharing and share, encouragement words. You talked about affirmation, but you got the floor. Then I'll close it out.
Yeah, man. Listen, I first just want to thank God as it relates to just life in general. And I've been tremendously blessed to have this platform. I've been tremendously blessed to do the things that God has allowed me to do. I've been blessed to have great people around me. I've been blessed to have great students and support. My mom, who always supports any and everything that I do, my brother, my family. And then the guys and ladies and gentlemen who I consider friends and family, who always are willing to give me the time I need to vent, but also give me correction, right? So you have to have people around you who are willing to correct you and show you some things that you can do better. So I'm thankful and grateful to them. I'm thankful for Madison County. Superintendent Charlotte Seals, who was the past superintendent, Mr. Ted Poore, who's current superintendent, for continuing to believe in me and giving me a chance. But the biggest thing I'll say is this. This is not about me, right? This is not about anything that I've done or anything. It's more so, and I don't want to just be cliche, but I'm just a vessel to be able to do some of these things. And so, again, it's a lot of hard work by a lot of great people that make these things possible. The only thing I would say as it relates to closing this out is that this is an amazing opportunity. But anyone in education, we have to be forward thinking. We have to be mindful of what it is that we do and say and what it is that we sow into the students each and every day, because those things do come back to them and come back to us. And so I try to be careful. I don't get it right every day. I'm not perfect each day, but I do try to make sure that we're sowing good seed into that ground. So to any parent who's interested, Shirley Simmons is always welcoming. We always want good kids. We want them to take on those challenges to make our students and our next generation the best generation that we can make, not for anything and not any other reason, but the simple fact that someone took a chance on us. And we didn't look the way we look now. They took a chance on us. So I'm excited about it, man. Thank you for the opportunity today to come in on a Saturday morning. Like I said, man, it's a great setup. You got the family working. Man, you got everybody involved in it, man. It's awesome. It's an awesome setup, man. So I'm glad to share the story. Let me say this too, real quick. Shirley D. Simmons, just that brief story, was an advocate for the underserved population, the population in the Northeast Madison area. And that's who the school is named after. A board member in Madison County for 30 plus years, an advocate for our African American students in that area to make sure that the things that were allotted on the south end of the district were also given up there on that end. And so her family has been extremely supportive of the things that we've done. I actually got a chance to take a picture when we achieved the B rating and the A rating with her daughters who are still around, who really support the school. But she was such an advocate. And so I do want to recognize her because she passed some years ago, but her legacy lives on through the students in that community in that area.
Wow. Yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah,
that part right there, and I remember seeing that picture right there. So I'm gonna make sure I get that picture on the edit part of this. So again, I thank you for the first live session.
It's been fun. It's been fun, man. It's been fun.
So again, guys, thank you so much. This is 50 educators from 50 states. This series right here. I have my first person from Mississippi, and it is dynamic. I've known this gentleman. A mutual friend, of course, was Dr. Marcus Dell and Dr. Darius Daniels.
Amazing people.
Right. Yeah. So again, guys, we thank you so much for tuning in. Share this with an educational buddy, but just share it with somebody. Shout out to Shirley Simmons, historical A rating, and Mr. Thomas Adams. We are